Kevin's playing Hades 2. I want to know what happens when I dualize that time of year and a bunch of games we played. I'm sure it can't be dangerous.
Hey, you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
Ooh, what's that? Were you dualizing again?
Maybe. Did it work?
Yeah, you made the review mo.
No, I was trying to make lunch.
It's finally that time of year. Time to take a look at all the games we played in the first 6 months of 2025. It's more games than anyone has the bravery, the commitment, or the lack of awareness to review.
But it's not every game. Don't worry, James has created some arbitrary rules for these, just like everything in life.
Yep.
The games in this list will be ones we haven't reviewed separately, be ones we've played a significant portion of or beaten, and be ones that came out between January 1st and when we started writing this.
And Andy's too complacent and bored with me to argue. So let's begin before he decides to have more patience with me.
I'm also still recovering from an impossible explosion happening right near my face and hands. I'll slap and give you harsh looks later. Let's begin.
In Cuisinier, you play as this absolutely adorably designed character who inherits a restaurant from her parents along with every single bit of their debt. She must now dig deep into dungeons, ripping enemies apart in order to gather the insides to cook delicious dishes for her new money hole. If this sounds very similar to another shop-running, dungeon-crawling RPG, that's because it very much is.
This gameplay looks like it was done about 100 times, too.
Cuisinier is a boring, uninspired, stripped-down ripoff of the original Moonlighter that is trapped and hindered by long loading screens, meta progression so slow Paint asks it to hurry up, and combat it is so proud of it strips the player of dodge-based iframes, slow attacks with the range of a fart, and an art style that makes me wish this was a better game. Specifically the splash screen that crowds every loading screen. I wish we got that game. What we have here you would definitely believe is some type of mobile gacha game. I'm sure Andy forgot what this was and assumed it was a gacha game as soon as the footage showed up here.
He's not wrong. How about we move on?
Are you guys ready for a unique concept?
My pants can't handle that kind of excitement. Bring it!
In this action-focused game where you gather a runes-like currency from defeating enemies and you lose a portion for dying while activating branches along several linear paths, you play as a mysterious sword-clad badass who must defeat alien creatures because they pose a threat to what's left of humanity.
This sounds way too familiar.
It very much is. If you remove the over-sexualized content, skill points, and better-than-average writing, you get AI limit. It also glitched really hard, locked my camera, turned off my D-pad, and forced me to exit the game. I lost a lot of progress and decided I would just replay Stellar Blade again if I wanted to see all these concepts done only slightly better.
With this game coming from the same developer of, and in the same genre as It Takes Two, comparisons are inevitable. Unfortunately, Split Fiction doesn't reach the same heights. You and your second player follow along a linear path full of 3D platforming challenges while your two protagonists bicker and quip a narrative at you. That narrative is, unfortunately, quite relevant in the current landscape of generative AI, but also falls apart pretty quickly if you think about it for a couple seconds. As for the platforming, it's pretty easy to grasp. After the motorcycle segment,
That looks like a fire truck.
crane,
Okay, I did
door,
it. Giraffes! I don't see any giraffes! Skip!
ads, I phased right through that car, emergency, ramp, window. None of the rest of the game was especially intriguing or tickling. It was all just complicated enough to keep us going. However, I can't help but suspect Split Fiction was more focused on spectacle, whereas It Takes Two actually encouraged playfulness.
That idea is never clearer than when you're handling the secondary storylines told through bubbles of narrative you can find hidden throughout the main game. There's no currencies to seek out or collectibles to find, just these spheres of intrigue. In It Takes Two, there were breaks in the game for both players to have a bit of friendly competition in the minigames to be found. In Split Fiction, the side stories are extensions of the main game where both protagonists bicker about how amazing everything looks and how they're so shocked the system can do these things. I'm sure Hazelight expected the players to be as awestruck as the in-game viewer, but we were not.
I haven't finished Pipistrello, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm not sure if anyone remembers my rule about Metroidvanias and similar game types, the one I established in my Prince of Persia Sands of Time review. The rule is, for any of these games to justify their existence, they need to come up with new, cool powers that tie into their gimmicks or narrative. No more games that just offer jump, wall jump, double jump. Let's get wild from now on. Anyway, Pipistrello has been doing great with this new rule. The game is focused around a possessed yo-yo, so almost every new power feels different. Combat reminds me a little bit of the first Zelda, with attacks going in 4 directions and going in a pumping motion. Every change, though, makes it feel so fluid, which is good since there are a lot of slappy meals filled to the brim with enemies. The exploration and puzzles in Pipistrello are also very satisfying. For exploration, there are huge paths in the map that are entirely out of the way and optional, but full of goodies, and the puzzles are consistently brain-bending. There are a few times where I was pretty sure I broke something, but no, the game totally wanted me to do that. I will say though, I'm not a huge fan of the upgrades. There's a Paper Mario style badge system, but it's not very exciting. And there's a skill tree, but the method to unlock bonuses involve intentionally accepting downgrades and paying off a debt using only half the money you collect. The character's a germaphobe, so they only want new money, which is definitely how that works. This causes a scenario where you downgrade your attack to boost your life, but then downgrade your life to boost your attack. Doesn't really feel like you're gaining any ground.
I noticed something you never explained. Why is it called the Cursed Yo-Yo?
Because get this, there's a cursed yo-yo.
Oh, I thought the explanation would be a bit more intimidating than that.
But James, it's a cursed yo-yo.
I'm not sure I could put into words the absolute mega fumble that Wings of Endless ended up being.
You could try.
But I'll try. For a game that started me with a double jump and a single in-air dash, it was already on the right foot before the adventure even began. The skill point system was done well, the combat works okay, and the switchable characters seem like a recipe for a win. Unfortunately, it all breaks down when you try and fight anything or move through the desert or ice areas. The combat system has several means of stamina bar for each character. Enemies aren't stunned long enough for your third hit to strike, which you are animation locked into, so you will take damage if you try and use it, and every enemy has no wind-up frames for attacks. Specifically the sandworms, which appear right under you and will kill you in 2 hits.
Oh, this looked like it was right up your alley.
It was. Then it told me the dodge wasn't for dodging, the air dash offers no invincibility, and the stamina bars are wholeheartedly invasive and unnecessary. And I absolutely hate playing it. I hate how much better this could have been and how awful it truly is. Before I let Andy talk about how this is one of his favorite installments in the series and a very fun game overall, I have to say, this game is great. Really great. The remaster totally changed my feelings about Grace's F. I've gone back to this game to play some bite-sized pieces every so often because I actually can't get enough.
Wow, thanks for stepping on my toes, stealing my points, and stepping aside, James. No behaviors to observe there. Anyway, after getting burned so severely from Tales of Symphonia's remaster only 2 years ago, it's such a relief to see Graces be treated not only well, but properly. Tales of Graces F is one of my personal favorites in the series, and a very fun game to play overall, but the additions and changes in the remaster only add to the experience. You'll find advertisements for things like quest markers, a faster sprint in the overworld, and additional subtitles, but what you won't notice until you play the game is how loading screens have been cleaved into dust. Battles load so fast now, even on Switch. Even better for us casual players, the New Game Plus bonuses are available at the very beginning of your first playthrough, and can even be changed later. For us, who already finished the original release, this was a massive favor, but I'd argue all RPG remasters and re-releases should do this. Returning players can have fun with weird bonuses, and casual players can mess around and find out. For us, we turned on the extra CC options. The combat is already frantic and offers loads of options at any time, but the extra CC only accelerates the pace and keeps you on your toes.
I find myself having a hard time writing this review without anything but frustration sitting in my heart. You see, Knights in Tight Spaces, much like Fights in Tight Spaces, is a strategy deck-building RPG where you take on a host of enemies with various weapons, using cards in a deck you find and unlock, as well as forethought to see some enemies will just punch each other. Every fight nets you some rewards such as money, consumables, sometimes cards, and healing. Sometimes it'll net you one of those things because you didn't complete some of the side quests such as pushing enemies off the edge or beating the battle in a certain number of turns. Because Knights in Tight Spaces takes inspiration from the D&D scene, a single run can last an upwards of hours, often leaving you strapped for healing resources and cash.
Aren't you addicted to this kind of gameplay?
Yes, and my frustration lies with the roguelike aspects of it.
There it is. Strap in, folks. We're gonna hear about a roguelike and James playing it.
Yes, at its core, this game is a roguelike, and after losing several times to arbitrary rules and stacks of attacks I had no way of evading or blocking, I reached a point at which I could no longer look at this without being mad at it. I love this kind of gameplay. It brings me great joy to see a stack of cards work together, but I spent 10 fucking hours on a single fucking run. I was careful, I was calculating. I put more thought into playing this game than most others. In the end, the choices for paths didn't offer any healing or reviving, or even a damn break between fights.
Can you restart fights?
If you pick that difficulty, yeah. But what use is restarting a boss fight after losing 2 of my 3 party members and only 5 HP left? Not much. This game is extremely well designed, highly recommended to fans of strategy games, but I can't see myself going back to it. Losing hours of work like that is difficult. This is my first Atelier game. This series has always been a curiosity to me, but never something I have a vested interest in actually playing. That is, until the trailer release that showed the main character Yumiya on a motorcycle zipping around the open world. That pinned it for me, that was it, I needed this game. Beyond that, moments of combat were shown in the world to be explored. I am very invested in this game. Before I get to that though, I want to talk about some of the problems it has. First, optimization. Yumiya does not run well on the Switch. Even worse when in handheld mode. Still worse if you use the motorcycle. So that thing that got me excited from the trailer, yeah, I can't use it unless I want the game to crash. That's a bummer, but whatever. Another issue, the level cap was set at 100 when the game released. I reached that in about 20 hours of playtime and still had 2/3 of the game to explore. Luckily, the cap was raised in a post-release update. Still waiting like Grace's F. Asbel outfit to come in though. Now, why I love this game. First and foremost, the open world.
Open worlds aren't supposed to be loved by you, James. What is this?
I know, but this open world is spotted with locations of intrigue marked via question marks. These will be shrines you can activate, mini shrines to shoot, gathering spots for ingredients, monster camps full of beasts, and landmarks. Each and every one of these will net you something. No question mark exists for absolutely no reason. There's always progression to be made in some way. Skill points, experience, ingredients. There's palpable, noticeable forward progress made in some way as a reward for seeking out every question mark on the map. Discovery makes you stronger.
Bet there's a limit on the amount of stuff you can carry.
There is, but you can visit a campsite, build a storage bin, and alleviate your heavy bag at any time with the fast travel, then get back into the fight. Speaking of fighting, the combat system is really good. It can even be easily broken, which will excite Andy.
Breaking.
Not to be too detailed, but every character has their own weapons at close and long range, their own strengths, their own secondary abilities that activate with attacks, and can be outfitted with elemental attacks that deal a lot of damage when activated in friend actions. I have broken the game enough to where battles, even boss battles, last less than 20 seconds. My elemental attacks have become so powerful thanks to synthesizing.
Ah, the main crux of the Atelier series. Synthesizing.
Synthesizing is basically combining things to make a thing. It's the point of collecting so many ingredients, because you can make and power up your equipment to be just like me. At the time of writing this, I am nearly to the end of Yumiya, and while the DLC pass walling off content is a Ye Sex Proud Nordics move, I'm really hoping I'm not missing anything by not buying the pass. I'm really hoping the content I'm going to miss is vestigial, because this game is damn good, and it doesn't need more than it already has.
What about the Asbel outfit?
That would be great.
What about optimization?
That would also be great.
And that's all the games we've played so far this year that James would let me put on this list. Did you play any of these? What are your thoughts on the first half of the year? Let us know in the comments and be sure to follow us for more. Now to dualize a reason why Night Rain wasn't on here, even though we've played it for over 60 hours. 60 hours! 60 hours, James. Ooh, look at that clock and look at how 60 hours have passed. Ooh, boy. And how much progress have we made? Probably not 60 hours worth. Unfortunate, isn't it? He's not wrong, and it gotcha. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Oh, please, gosh, this is so many roses.